Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Pincer. Now, when I heard kind of the title Pincer, I immediately imagined almost like a villain in one of the James Bond movies where, he's got a pincer for an arm and, Sleuth is trying to figure out how on earth he's going to catch this criminal, which is essentially what you see here, Sleuth facing off to a villain. In this case, it turned out to be a robot that's got a pincer for an arm. I guess it's not really a pincer, though, if it is a robot, and regardless of how claw-like it seems to be. Now, just a word about today's puzzle. So, typically on weekends, I tend to feature harder puzzles, as you're aware, recently. And this particular puzzle, although it is a 1-star difficulty rated puzzle, I think a lot of the comments about it have actually pointed out that it's kind of harder than most 2-star difficulty rated puzzles on the website. So, don't be fooled as you're trying to play this puzzle or trying to solve it. It is probably more difficult than it may seem, which I guess we're going to discover in a moment as we take a look at today's puzzle. So, Pincer by sdholmes, very much a detective James Bond theme today. And we've got like extremely straightforward rules today. So, first rule, we're all going to be familiar with this, is normal Sudoku rules apply. So that means place the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box without any repeats. We also have thermometers today. So thermometers increase from the bulb to the tip, which means you just have to think of them almost like physical thermometers, where at the bulb end is the lower temperature and therefore the lower number or digit. And as you get further up the thermometer, away from the bulb end, that temperature or that digit or number must increase. So for example, if this is a 2, this would have to be 3, 4, or higher. What I can't do, for example, is then put down a 1 on here. That is clearly not increasing as you get further away from the bulb end. We also have cages. So cages show their sum. That was it, really. We've got not too many cages today. We've got 4 of them. So you can see these 3 cells have to add up to 21. And you can see the dashed line essentially tells you which 3 cells are part of it. And the sum is written in the top left corner. So this 10 here, for example, is these 2 cells. If that was a 2, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these 2 cells add up to 10. Lastly, we have an arrow sum to the number. No, not lastly, excuse me. Arrow sums to the number in the circle. So we've got an arrow here, and these 3 cells, let's say they are 1, 2, 3, must sum up to a value that you're going to be able to place in this circle. And then lastly, this time, a white dot indicates consecutive digits. So if this happened to be a 3, for example, this could be 2 or 4 to make sure that it is indeed consecutive. In this, 2 cells are connected with this white dot. Do I actually have all of that? Yes, I do. The way I've sort of displayed the rules kind of tricked me into thinking that we have fewer. And that's not true. We actually have all of these dots. Sorry, all of these rules. It's just very concisely described by sdholmes. Maybe it's a trait amongst all the Holmes family. Well, the only thing left to say now is if you are not put off by the conciseness of the rules, the sparsity of the grid, the fact that we're taking on a villain called the Pincer, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. And I admit, as I'm coming into this, I'm feeling a little bit intimidated. There's like really very little information on this puzzle. So this is a 7-cell thermometer, another 7-cell thermometer. So that means there is 2 degrees of freedom. So the minimum could be 1, but it can go 2 or 3 to make it a 2 degrees of freedom and just carry on going up. I can't believe that I'm doing this. I normally avoid, as you're well aware, over pencil marking, but in all seriousness, I don't see like a lot to do with this puzzle just yet. Right. Now what? I mean, it's, you can see, or you can kind of put up theories. I'm not going to even say deduce. Deduce feels like, miles down the line from where we are right now. But you can see that there are certain deductions you can make, such as these might not be the same digits as these because obviously they share the same starting point in the same box. So potentially, for example, these are made up, these 6 cells of 3 or 4 different digits, and therefore it places a lot of pressure on this cell. But I mean, yes, and so what is kind of almost like the conclusion of that. So, I mean, whatever the pincer is, doesn't seem like it's at this end of the puzzle, because it really doesn't feel like there's a lot of pressure in here. At least not yet, anyway. Now, the other possibility is the pincer is sort of pinching this way, which feels much more likely given we have A, the arrow, B, the cage. And I mean, whilst unlikely that all these 4 cells are different, it certainly eliminates at least 2 high digits, if not 3 or 4. And yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe this is about high and low digits. And you see, the reason I say that is, so these 4 digits, I'm going to color them red, are all high digits, these 4 cells. And we know that a 10 cage is always made up of a low digit, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a high digit, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So you can see in row 8, at least, I've already got 3 high digits. I can't actually put 2 high digits in this 21 cage. And let me just think about the 21 cage for a second, see if this is significant or not. So 21, the smallest digit I can place in a 21 would be a 4. Because you see, 1, 2, and 3, take 3 as an example, will get you from 21 down to 18. And then I'd need a double 9. And that's clearly not going to work given they're in the same box. So the smallest digit I can put on here is a 4, which means that even with a 4, I still need 2 high digits, which, based on this coloring, tells me that I can only put 1 high digit in here, not 2, and then there has to be a low digit or a 5 to stand a chance of actually sort of not breaking this Sudoku puzzle in row 8. And my suspicion is something very similar is going to happen in column 8 now, if I think about it. So this is even more restricted with a 12 cage. Because where am I going with this? So the 12 cage, I mean, it can be blue and red, or it can be sort of gray and red, as in 5 and 7. But essentially, we've got at least 1 high digit, then a second, then a third, and then once again, I have a maximum of a 4th in here. So because of these constraints, and the fact that I need at least 2 high digits in the 21 cage, is that correct? Yeah, because if I try and use low digits, the lowest I can use will be 4. That gets me to 17, and then it'll be 9, 8. Then the other alternative would be a 5, and that would require 7 and 9 to get to 16, plus the 5 to get to 21. So, my head hurts. What I'm trying to sort of figure out very poorly is this forcing the red to be in here to make sure that this pincer gets its 4 red digits in column 8 and row 8? I don't think that works. Because then whichever one has the 4 or 5, let's go with that, would require another high digit, and then I've broken that row. So it has to be that these are the 2 high digits, and then this is the 4 or 5, and then we're basically done for high digits in row 8, and we're done for high digits in column 8. And then 4 and 5 on this arrow looks incredibly restricted, because I can do 1 and 2 in here, and then because of this white crop kilo, it would actually have to be in this order. So that's one option, and then that gets me already to 3. And then I only have 1 degree of freedom in here to get to 4 or 5. And again, I can't go any higher. If this is 6, if this is 6, I've broken the puzzle. We're back to, we have way too many highs in both rows and columns. This is very clever. So this is 4 or 5. There was 1 degree of freedom in here. So that was one possible place for the degree of freedom. The other possible place would be, I guess, a 1, 3. And then I could do the 1, I can't, well, no, I mean, I can do the 1 in here, the 2 in there, and the 3 in here. Or I could do the 1 there, the 3 here, and then 2 or 4. So this is awful pencil marking, but there's definitely a 1 in here. And then there's a question mark as to whether this is 1 or 2. Now, let's have a think about what this is telling us. If this is 4 or 5, this is essentially from 7, 8, or 9. Because it's either a 7-9 pair or an 8-9 pair. So there's always a 9. And you can see we're getting like incredibly restricted here on this 12. And this 10, of course. There you go. Goodness me, we're at 8 minutes before we can get the first digit. This is a 6. So we've got 4 high digits between these cells, including this red flash here. But what I can tell you is, in a 2-cell cage with a 12, you can never have one of them as 6 because it would require a second 6, breaking the puzzle. So another way of asking this question is, where does 6 go in column 8? It's got to be in here. That's a 6. And then that forces all of these. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I have a 7, 8, or 9. Well, it's not 7 because the 5 is not available. So an 8 and 9 here with 3 or 4. And if it's 3, that would be the 9. If it's 4, that would be the 8. And then one of these for sure is a 7. Has that told me what this is yet? It feels like it almost has. I stress almost. Why is that? Because I can still place a 5 in here, a 4 there, a 3 there, a 9 there. So no, it really hasn't. And it hasn't necessarily given me what this is. It has given me some Sudoku, and I guess I'm gonna have to take as much of these as I possibly can. It's actually done a bit more. That's not a 3. 2, 4 has to be, the pair clearly has to be an odd digit with the even digit, the consecutive one. So that's got to be the 3. That's my degree of freedom because they add up to 4. I need at least one more. That's the 1. That's a 5, and that's now a 7, 9 pair, no 8s. Doesn't give me anything in here. Does it give me? No, it really doesn't. Yeah, this is a much harder puzzle than I was actually expecting, given the rating. I mean, I remove a degree of freedom in here, and I think this is going to be the name of the game, is don't scoff. Well, that's given me a 4, 6, so I was going to say don't scoff basically at Sudoku. Normally what I try and do is use all the clues, then do Sudoku at the end, but it feels like I'm actually going to have to do this in an interleaved fashion, constantly to actually make progress. So that's a 7, that's a 9, that's a 7. That gives me a 4, 8 at the top. That's a 4, that's an 8. That's got to be a 7 now. I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to stick with the coloring. That 7 gives me an 8, a 9. The 7, unfortunately, doesn't remove the degree of freedom from this thermometer. I'm left with 1, 2, and 3 in here. And that's not a 3. I'm actually left with a 1, 2, and 3 in there as well. And that's, again, not a 3. Neither of these is a 1. It's giving me a 2, 3 pair. I do get another 4 in this 21 cage. Just Sudoku again. No 4s in any of these cells. There has to be a 4 in here. 4 gets me down to 17. I need 8 and 9. And this 8 tells me that the 8 joins the 4 in a 4-8 pair. And this becomes a 9. I mean, I am probably going to do a lot more pencil marking than I normally do at this point. Because, you know, I can see that the 2 3s have a bit of pressure around the puzzle. The 1s probably have, the 7s seem to, the 9s seem to. So I am probably going to be doing far more pencil marking than you normally see me do. So let me just do a bit of quick scanning, if you don't mind, and just bear with me whilst I just fill in a whole bunch of numbers reasonably quickly. In fact, that's not the 7 I meant to say, that's a 9. Reasonably quickly, but not incorrectly. For example, it gives me a free 8 in here. It gives me actually another 8. So it's probably worthwhile doing. I can actually fill in a few digits. What else does it give me? I mean, it's just nowhere near enough. I think that's the problem. That's the challenge. It feels like there is not enough information on the grid. Actually, here is something. That's not a 1. That gives me this 1. There's a 1 now in here. I think I'm going to say there is a 1 with the 9. You can see that. So this is a 1-9 pair. Now I'll have another 2 3, and then it'll be 5 and 8. 5 8 and a 2 3. I don't really know where they go. This 2 3 is different from this one. Therefore, this one is actually down here. But this 2 3, nothing stops it from being down here at the moment. So this could easily be a 5 8 pair, and that wouldn't be an issue. Does that 1 give me anything? Not really. 1s, again, not really. One of these is a 1. I did say, you know, give me a moment, I'll just do a whole bunch of pencil marking reasonably quickly. How about I do that? Because sort of doing it inefficiently like I am right now, is it really helping anyone? That's too many of them. I still have standards. I'm not going to just write 1s everywhere. If I'm only going to corner, you know, 2 or 3s if they're in a row or column. That's not really anything else I'm going to do. So I think that's 1s for now. 2s we really know very little about. 3s, I think we've done all we can for now. 4s feels like we've done all we can for now. This is going to be a consistent theme, isn't it? 5s, there's a 5 in here, there's a 5 in there. There's 5s there. That's kind of the end of our knowledge of 5s. 6s. 7s, we know there's a 7 there. 8s. Come on, 8s. Surely you can do better than that. Nope. And 9s. And it just gives me a 9 in here, which gives me a 9 in there. Got this 1 9, we've got this 9. So where is 9 in this box? Not as restricted as we might like, is the answer. Okay. Right, so we're kind of back to thermometer, cage, and Kropkedot. It's sort of like the remaining clues for us to take a look at. We've got 1, 2, 3. I need a 4, 6, and 8. No real constraints on any of them. We've got a 1, 7 pair. I'll take it. I really want to sort of figure out these 1, 2, 3s. I just don't know how to do it. No 2s. Yeah, I just need to do quite a bit of Sudoku. I guess it keeps coming back round to that's what I need to do next. I should do that. Look at an example now that this is a 1, 7. The 9 goes in here, which gives me the 1, which gives me the 9, which gives me the 7, which gives me the 1, which gives me the 2, the 4. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The 3, the 2, the 1. This is not a 1 anymore. That's a 1. That's a 5. Come on, there's a good flurry of activities. I've got 7s, you can see now, very restricted. That's the 7 in here. There's essentially 6, 7, 9, which I will fully write in now and just remove the 7, the 9, and this could be any of them. Which also means, given there's a 7 in here, that's not a 7, that's a 2, 3. In fact, it is a 3, 2. Unfortunately, preserves the entirety of this. Well, this 3 gives me this 3. Come on. 7, 9, not really, nothing else. 7 is in here. Are these no further forward? I mean, that 2 gives me this 3. Where does 2 go in here now? Kind of basically, I've got 2, 5, and 8 that can pretty much go anywhere. That's not a 2. I probably shouldn't be doing this. I mean, once I start writing in triplets like this, I'm going to miss the significance of any digits I place. So I shouldn't do that. Such as when I placed this 4, I ended up with 4s, and that's a 4. And these are not 4s. That's now a 6, 8 pair. That's a 4, not a 5. 6, 8 pair. We did say that this is 2, 5, or 8. It's not 8. It's 2 or 5. Which means there is now another 2 or 5 with a 7. So there's a 7 in one of these two. Don't know which. Then a 2, 5 to finish. Then I have a 2, 5 up here with a 6. I don't know which one it is. Recurring theme is basically what's going to keep happening here. 8s. 2s, you can see I can actually fill in. Then I have 6, 7, and 9. And I'm going to replace these corners. It's 6, 7, and 9. Except that's not a 9 and that's not a 7. Kind of almost a quadruple there. I need a 1 in here. That's the 1. Then I need a 5 with an 8 or 9 because 6 and 7 are taken. So this is 5, 8, 9, and then the 6, 7s have to be outside. And they could easily both be up here because that could be the 8 and this could be a 5, 9. So not enough info again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5, 6, and 9. Essentially a 5, 9 in here and a 5, 6 in there. Then we have a 2, 9 and a 2, 6, ironically. definite to one of the 6 and 9s, which sort of puts a bit of pressure on here. It's going to be a 7. There's something else. There's another digit missing from this column. It's a 5. Do I know where it goes? Nope. What about what is missing in here? I've got 1. I haven't got a 2. So I need a 2 in here with the 6 7s. Not very helpful. Six, 7, there's a 6 7 in here with a 3. Can I place a 3? No. 6 9, 6 7. Well, the 9 we know is up here. And this is either 5 6 or 5 7. I mean, that's a 5 6, so that's a 5 6 pair. That's helpful, because it can't be a 7. And a 5 6 pair gives me a 4, an 8, a 4, a 6. Still have 2, 5, and 8. That's not an 8 anymore. That's an 8. That's 2 or 5, but it can't be because I've got a 5 6 pair. So that's 2. That's 5. That's 6. That's 7. That's 2. That's not 6. That's a 7. I know what this is. This is a 5. That's not 7. That's a 6 9 2 6 9. I need something else outside it to resolve this. 5 6 5 6. That's a 3. This is 6 or 7. It is a 7. That's very helpful. That's 9. That's 7. That's a 5 6 pair. That's the 5. That's the 6. Therefore, that's the 5. That removes the degree of freedom that was there from the start. That removes a 5 from here. That removes 6, 2, 9, 5. I think we're pretty much at the home stretch now. 6, 9. Have I got these? Yes, I have. 8, 6. That's all my pencil marking done. So should be pretty much at the finish line soon. 4, 8, and 9. That's the 8. That's the 9. I should be able to just write this in. It's a 6. I need an 8 and a 2. 2. And if I've not made any mistakes, 8 and the solution to today's puzzle. It's a tough puzzle. And I'm trying to think, why was it a tough puzzle? And it really deserves way more solvers than 141. So I'm glad I'm featuring it, and I hope that you guys get to enjoy it as much as I did. So I think the break-in, definitely. Although, again, whenever I find that the break-ins are tough, the constructors very helpfully tell us, usually with the name, where to pay attention. And I think with the name Pincer, you're either looking at sort of this end or you're looking at this end. And with all the other clues between the arrow sum and the cages, it was sort of leading us very much to see this if you use the name. And then I think why I probably struggled with it is I had to keep interleaving Sudoku and variant Sudoku, which I'm generally not good at. I tend to sort of focus a lot more on the variants and their clues before, and then use Sudoku at the end to tidy up. But you really needed that to actually make any material progress throughout today's puzzle. Well, sdholmes, it's a phenomenal puzzle. Thank you very much for sharing it with us. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video, and see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.